Hello, surgical utopians, and I hope that you guys are very happy because it seems that government is going to release the orders of the lockdown, and we are going to be set free. But there's a word of caution here that although the orders of the lockdown is going to be uplifted, we should always take the precautions, avoid going to the places of gathering, continue maintaining social distancing, and take all the precautions that WHO has said in its guidelines. And apart from this, I want to tell you that I've already completed my mid-phase fracture series. So if you haven't watched it yet, please go and watch that. And today we'll be discussing about the distraction osteogenesis. So let's get started with that. So first of all, coming to the definition of distraction osteogenesis. Distraction osteogenesis is a technique by which lengthening of a bone can be brought about by new bone formation as a part of a normal bone healing process. And this is an alternative treatment options available to the patient with craniofacial abnormalities. In the 1950s, Ilizarov introduced distraction osteogenesis for the treatment of fractures and non-unions for the long bones. So coming to the advantages of distraction osteogenesis, so as I've already told you that distraction osteogenesis is an alternative procedures for orthognathic surgeries. So we'll see what are the advantages of distraction osteogenesis over orthognathic surgeries. So the first one is that it is way safer procedure as compared to the orthognathic surgeries, and it decreases the length of hospitalization and decreases morbidity. The third point is that it decreases the operating time. Fourth one is that it is more conservative procedure as compared to orthognathic surgeries. The fifth point is that it can be done at a younger age of the patient rather than waiting for the growth completion. The sixth point is that there is no need for bone grafting. So autogenous bone graft is not required, which is at times needed in orthognathic surgeries. The seventh point is that in distraction osteogenesis, along with the growth of bone, the soft tissues will also grow with it. Soft tissues like muscles and mucosa and skin will also grow along with the bone simultaneously. So these are the 7 advantages of distraction osteogenesis. And now coming to the indications where all distraction osteogenesis can be done. So this is divided into basically 5 segments. The first one is the mandibular procedures such as hemifacial microsomia, bilateral mandibular hyperplasia, syndromic conditions of mandible such as Pierre-Robin syndrome, Goldhaner syndrome, and in cases of TMJ ankylosis leading to bird face deformity, then traumatic injuries to mandible or pathologies that would lead to deficiency in the mandible. And the sixth one is the transverse deficiency of the mandible. The maxillary procedures where distraction osteogenesis can be done are maxillary deficiency due to presence of cleft lip or cleft palate. Secondly, in cases of severe midfacial deficiencies. And the third one is that in cases where there is a requirement for palatal expansion. So these were the maxillary procedures where distraction osteogenesis can be employed. The third category are the cranial procedures or the craniofacial procedures, such as in cases of Apert syndrome, frontofacial advancements, or in patients with Clausen's syndrome. Is characterized by the sunken appearances of the middle face due to the mid-face hyperplasia. There is a cleft palate. Along with that, there is crowded teeth, bulging of the eyes or exophthalmosis, and hypertelorism, that is wide eyes. And likewise, in cases of Clausen's syndrome, there is premature fusion of the skull bones, which leads to abnormal growth of these bones and thus resulting in bulging of the eyes, vision problems, shallow eye socket, and few individuals with Clausen's syndrome will have cleft lip and cleft palate also. So these were the craniofacial procedures where distraction osteogenesis can be done. Then the fourth point is that in cases where there is combined deficiency of maxillary and mandibular bone, and fifth is where there is a requirement for alveolar ridge procedures for placement of implant. The principle of distraction osteogenesis is based on the fact that there is formation of surgically created fracture in the bone and there is gradual and controlled movement of these segments away from each other as per the requirement according to the treatment planning. And as these bony segments are separated from each other, the bone formation begins to take place between the cut ends, and this bone is formed initially by immature, and later this immature bone between the cut segments of the bone will transform into the mature strong bone or the cortical bone. Right. So coming to the steps of the procedure, it can be broadly divided into 4 steps. The first one is creation of surgical fracture, which is also called as osteotomy procedure. Then second one is that controlled segmental movement is done with the help of distractors, and the distractors are classified in various categories. We'll discuss that in later part of this video. The third step is that there is bone formation. Initially there is immature or callus bone formation, which gets transformed into the mature or the cortical bone by the natural process of bone healing. The fourth process is soft tissue remodeling. So we'll talk about the bone cut or the osteotomy procedure. So osteotomy, as I've already said, is a surgical fracture, and it is created at a planned site in the bone. And the most important point that has to be considered while creating this osteotomy is that the blood supply should not be compromised. After the osteotomy is done, the distractor is placed at the two ends of the cut edges of the bone, after which a latency period is given. So what is the latency period? A latency period is a time period in which the bone is retained in its original position with the help of this distractor device for around 5 to 7 days. And this allows the formation of adequate fibrovascular bridge between the bony ends of the osteotomy. So with the help of this fibrovascular bridge, callus formation will begin around the cut ends of the bone, and within this latency period, the wound passes into the phase 2 of wound healing. That is the stage of extending bone formation, in which a cylinder trabecular pattern of bone is observed along the bony edges towards the fibrous tissue. The entire process of distraction osteogenesis depends on two elements. The first one is the rate, and the second one is the rhythm of the force applied during the procedure. The first one is rate, and this refers to the amount of separation that has to be achieved between the cut edges of the bone, that is osteomatized bone, in 1 day. So ideally the bone ends are separated by 1 millimeter per day in adults, and in younger children the rate of separation is increased by 1.5 to 2.0 millimeter, because in children the rate of formation of bone is higher. And in case if this amount is increased beyond 1.5 to 2 millimeter, then there is compromised blood supply, which leads to necrosis, because the blood supply to the regenerated new bone is hampered. The second element that I said is rhythm. Now what is rhythm? It is the number of times the distraction force is applied to the device in 1 day. So ideally the distraction force is applied continuously throughout the day, but in clinical practice it is best applied twice a day. That is, the device is activated each time by 0.5 millimeter to make it 1.0 millimeter in a day. And in case where the patient is complaining of pain because of the distraction forces, the rhythm may be altered by increasing in an increment of 0.25 millimeter in 4 increments, and thus it will make 1.0 millimeter in 1 day. Now, the first step was osteotomy cut, the second was the latency period, and the third one is the consolidation phase. So at a rate of 1.0 millimeter distraction per day, new bone formation will take place, and once the satisfactory or the needed amount of distraction has been achieved, then the distraction device, that is the distractor, is held in its neutral position for a period of 4 to 6 weeks, and this period of 4 to 6 weeks is called as consolidation phase. In this phase there is healing of the fracture, and after adequate ossification has taken place, a cortical bone is formed, and this cortical bone can be seen as a radio-opaque outline on the radiograph. After the consolidation phase is over, the distractor or distraction devices are removed, and this is called as retention phase, in which the jaws are stabilized with orthodontic appliances or the occlusal splints. So the points to be remembered is that the osteotomy cut has to be made taking in consideration for the blood supply. Then a latency period for 5 to 7 days has to be given, and the distraction is done with a rate of 1 millimeter per day, and the device is activated twice a day. Then after which a consolidation phase of 4 to 6 weeks is given, in which the distraction device is maintained at its neutral position, following which in retention phase the distraction device is removed and the jaw is stabilized. Now coming to the types of distractors. The distractors or the distraction devices can be classified into extraoral devices or intraoral devices. Extraoral devices can be further classified into unidirectional appliances, bidirectional appliances, and multidirectional appliances. And all the extraoral devices are the bone-supported devices, whereas intraoral devices can be further divided into tooth-borne devices or bone-supported devices. So you can see in the figures that this is the extraoral distraction device and this is the intraoral distraction device. Now there are a number of disadvantages of extraoral devices, such as the formation of extraoral or external scar. Then there may be infection along the extraoral pins. The pins may get loosened. There may be hypertrophic scar formation. Then damage to the extraoral structures such as facial nerve and salivary glands during the insertion of the device. And lastly, there is lack of patient's cooperation because of the aesthetic concerns. The intraoral devices has advantages that it does not cause any external scar formation. The device is concealed within the oral cavity, and the intraoral distractors are simple and easy to use, and because it is hidden inside the oral cavity, so there is no inhibition of patient's social activity, and it is well accepted by patient. Whereas the disadvantages of the intraoral devices is that it does not allow multidirectional forces to be applied, so the lengthening of the bone in multidirection cannot be done. Second is that for the removal of these intraoral distractors, a second surgical procedure has to be done. So there are these two disadvantages of the intraoral distractors. Now coming to the clinical application of distraction osteogenesis, the first one is the alveolar distraction osteogenesis for placement of the implant. And distraction osteogenesis is done to increase the bone level, and it can be done up to 16 millimeter at a rate of 1 millimeter per day. So here you can see in this picture that the anterior alveolar ridge is deficient and an osteotomy cut is given, and the segment is moved in superior direction, following which the bone formation occurs between the two cut edges of the bone, and thus this helps in the increase of the alveolar height. The second application is the mandibular distraction osteogenesis, and this is done in cases of micrognathia or mandibular hyperplasia cases, where the hyperplasia is in antero-posterior direction, and distraction osteogenesis can be considered when superior mandibular body lengthening is needed. So here you can see that there is an internal distractor device applied parallelism for bilateral mandibular lengthening, and distraction of mandible is done in antero-posterior direction over here. And with distraction osteogenesis, the lengthening can be done up to 30 millimeter. Then in cases of maxillary advancements, maxillary distraction osteogenesis is done for correction of midface hyperplasia and cases like cleft maxillary hyperplasia. For this, the Lefort 1 osteotomy is done with superior advancement, and the osteotomy segment is advanced in a anterior direction. The next application is transport distraction osteogenesis, which is done in cases with significant defect secondary to post-ablative procedures such as maxillectomy, or in cases where enucleation of a huge cyst has been done, or a congenital condition such as facial cleft. So in this case, after the osteotomy, the bone segment is transported to its desired and planned position. The last application is in cases of craniofacial procedures where there is complex congenital craniofacial syndromes such as the Krausen syndrome or Appert's and Pfeiffer syndrome, and in this massive segmental expansion of the skull and midface region is required in order to decompress the restricted intracranial space, and devices used for these cases may either be the external distractor devices or internal devices or a combination of both. Now coming to the complications of distraction osteogenesis, The first one is that there may be failure of the device or there may be breakage of the device. Second complication is due to the loosening of the device due to the lack of adequate bone structure. Then during insertion of the device, there may be injury to the developing tooth bud in cases of children. In procedures where external distractors are applied, there may be injury to the vital structures such as the facial artery, the inferior alveolar nerve, and there may be infection of the pins in cases of extraoral devices as well. Then there may be relapse of the distraction which has been achieved, or early removal of the distracted devices may lead to the fracture of the jaw due to inadequate bone formation. The last complication is that there may be fibrous union of the cut ends of the bone instead of the formation of a mature cortical bone. So these were the complications with distraction osteogenesis. So this was it about distraction osteogenesis for now. I hope you guys liked the video, and I'll meet you next with another video. Until then, bye-bye.